TitleMatchNetwork.com.
Were you surprised when Harley came over to the company?
Kind of.
All right.
Kind of. We were in Kansas City for a show, and the word was around that Harley was going to come and shoot Vince.
Oh yeah, I heard about
He's
it.
going to shoot Vince. And it was a big rumor. And Harley's just a great big puppy.
All right.
He's a tough guy. He's a puppy though. Most of the guys that are really tough guys are puppies when it comes down to it.
Now you went down for a brief period of time. You worked Georgia just for a couple of shots down there. What were your thoughts on Ole Anderson?
Now you're getting into some meat.
Yeah.
Politics. See, this is when the it was the NWA.
Right.
Was starting to spread out off of their TV, and they had come to Detroit. And Dusty Rhodes had come to Detroit with Gary Hart, my old manager, and a guy by the name of Steve Erms, which was did a lot of promotions and TV stuff for them out west. And they stopped by my house because they hadn't seen Gary in a long time. We were just going to make a trip with them. I'm not on the card.
Right.
As they're in teaching time. I'm not wrestling anywhere. And we're riding down. We stopped at the old Sheik's house, and it was kind of a mess. I mean, things were getting tough at that time for him. And but we talked a lot. So Dusty said, I'd like to bring you into the NWA, and me and you work a tag team against these guys. We'll really get you over. And so I said, okay. I was going to go in. And the gimmick was a great gimmick. And this was a gimmick, not a character. They put me in a cage, and they put a cloth around the cage, and I was shaking every now and then. But people, they got a wild man in there. And finally, Dusty comes over and opens it up. First of all, when I was doing it, it's kind of I knocked it off once. Be back up in the cage. But Dusty comes over, opens the door. I come out, we just kill something. Boom, 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 boom. And we're going to wrestle. I think it was
Piper and I think Ole, right?
I think it was Ole. And who was the other one?
Piper, Roddy Piper.
No, I don't think it was Piper. I don't think it was. I don't think it was quite in the picture yet, but it might have been.
Okay.
I mean, I was so it didn't matter to me.
Right.
Because what happened was, we did the bing, 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 bing. I went back home. It's just TV now.
Right.
And so we're building up for a show in the Omni. And so I wasn't supposed to go back to the next week's TV show because Dusty couldn't be there, and we were partners. And they were playing this here Who's Boss game, and they was using me as a tool.
Wow.
Big mistake, because I'm not a tool for both of them.
Right.
Forget it. So I come back in. I go home. I must go back in. I get a phone call. We need you to come back in for the TV this time. So I go back in, and Dusty's not there. And they've got this kid. I can't think of his name. This is just a real quick thing. The blonde-headed guy that was such a big name for me.
Tommy Rich.
Tommy Rich. They got him speaking for me now, and they're kind of tagging us and kind of pushing Dusty out. But Dusty's going to be my partner, but he's going to talk for you. So they're really cutting into what we were doing.
Right.
And I knew that right away. This is shady, and I don't do shady. So I come in for the Omni show. It's sold out. They haven't had a good show in a long time. This place is packed out. And we're in the back room, and they said, "Now we want you. When you come out, we just want you to hit Ole. If it was Piper or whoever, they're going to fly, and you just boom, and we're going to do this and this and this and this." I'm thinking, yeah, okay, you want to play a game with me, wrong guy to play with. So I go out, and as soon as I hit the ring, Ole doubles up. Oh, back, I sell it. I killed it, dead, and never went back. It was a one-show deal. Wow. And that's why it was a one-show deal. If they'd have been straight with me, I'd have been straight with them. But you're going to play games using me. I had New York. What do I need Atlanta for? Come on, give me a break.
It was like the minor leagues.
No, absolutely.
What were your thoughts on Ole as a person?
I wasn't around that much. It was just that those three, the two TVs in the house show. I thought he was a big bag of wind, but kind of, I don't know if he could back it up or not.
Right.
We never got to a point where we found that out. But he ran a pretty tight ship, I thought. I was impressed by him somewhat. He said one thing later on in a book that he read that really is true. He was talking about the marks and the smart marks and the historians, and I'm very strong in the Professional Wrestling Hall of Fame. I mean, that's my love, and I was one of the founders of it, and it's the real deal. But a lot of the guys that are on the committees to vote into the Hall of Fame don't really get it, because the guy wrestled in every territory in the country when we were doing territories in Japan and so on and so forth, does not make him a great worker. A great worker is a guy like Ole or some of these guys, Larry Shane, that could go into one territory and make top money for 30 years and never have to leave. You understand what I'm saying? If you got to leave, that means you're not getting over there anymore. You got to go find somewhere else.
Right.
So I always had a problem with that part of the business. A lot of people don't understand it. I mean, personally, I went into New York for a lot of years, only in the summertime. I made a fortune in New York. Why would I want to go to anywhere else? And if I could do that, most guys can't do that. I'm not really egotistic, but I put myself for it now. The reason that I was able to do it is I wrestled the champion. It could be Bruno, it could be Pedro, it could be Bobby, or even I'm the only guy that worked with all, and Hulk, worked with all four of them over that period of time. And that's a long period of time. But the gift was I had leverage because I would go 2 or 3 months and have all main events. There's another whole story to that too about money now.
Right.
I have all main events, then I go back and teach. Why is that so good? They only saw me lose to the champions. And so I never, the other guys that came in, let's just talk with Bruno because he's number one really. They come and work a program with Bruno in the Gardens. Then they would work at the next program, let's say in Boston, and they would get beat in the Gardens by whoever, by the babyface.
Right. Then
they would work Philadelphia. They might one, 2 or 3 shows. It didn't matter. And they work Philadelphia. So now they get beat in New York and Boston, and they're looking good in Philadelphia. Then they get beat by Bruno there, and they go in, and they work their way around the horn. They're there for 9, 10 months, and they've been beat by Bruno all over the place, and everybody else, because when they're done in Boston, they're still on the card, and Vince had to pay them. I learned a lot of my business and psychological working with the promoters sitting on the toilet. The first time it was the 2 toilet stories. I'm in Detroit, and I hear Bert Ruby talking to Louis Klein and Larry Shane. Don't go to sleep over there. Jesus. I'm talking, I look over, the guy's sleeping on the bed.
I'm not sleeping.
I can't believe that. Anyhow, I'm sitting on the toilet, and they start talking about me. So my feet come up. Right. I don't see, And Larry Shane and Luke Klein are complaining about their payoff. And Bert says, well, what are you talking about? I'm giving you some of the students. I'm the main event. I'm giving you some of the students' money. So it's like, oh, wait a minute. I had no idea how much money. Still haven't made $75. My best payoff was $90. It's $75 earlier. It was $90. Still haven't made $90 yet. And I hear that. So the next day, I'm all the way home, and I'm not sleeping good that night. I'm hot. So I come back the next day, and I said to Bert, I said, why are you taking some of my money and giving it to Lou and Larry? He said, because they work full-time and you're part-time. You got another job. You don't depend on wrestling. So wait a minute. If the school decided to pay me half because I'm wrestling, and you're paying me half because I'm teaching, I'd be working 2 jobs for 1 payoff. And it doesn't add up. He said, you got a choice. You can leave. I'm making $75 a night. I was looking for a job as a bouncer for $15 a night. That was huge in the 60s. Are you kidding me?
Right.
I ain't walking away. And then a little bit later, he wanted me to work a program with his son, Alan. He was an announcer. And I refused to do that, so I didn't work for 4 weeks. And this is what I'm telling you is very important in how I learned the business. So I go back in, and I said, he called me up. He says, are you ready to go to work? I said, yeah. So I go in. I said, how come you didn't book me? He said, because you refused to do something that I wanted you to do, and you have no leverage.
TitleMatchNetwork.com